Yeah, I think everyone's connected. So from my side, I'm Dominic Virtue from the OAD. Thank you so much for joining our workshop on astronomy for mental health. I will start off with the slides and we'll go from there. We're a small group, and because it's about mental health, today's session is really about making it applicable to everyone here individually. So throughout, if there's questions or comments, you can raise a hand or put anything in the chat, and we'll try to respond to that ongoing as fast as we can. Okay. So for today, what we'll start off with is we'll first do introductions of the IAPS, the IAU and OAD, and then we'll move over to what we're going to be talking about during the session, which is the mental health flagship. Okay, and to start us off with the IAPS, I'm going to hand over to Anna, and she will take you guys through.
Yep. Thank you, Dominic. Okay, I thought I could hear myself back, but okay, now it's good. So I would also like to welcome everyone to this workshop. My name is Anna Christoforidou, and I am the iaps Outreach Manager. And it is my great pleasure to introduce to you the International Association of Physics Students. So if we could go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so iaps is actually the international link for physics students and young physicists around the globe, with the goals of supporting young physicists, build international bridges, encourage peaceful international collaboration, and promote professional and social networking. Next slide, please. Okay, so we were actually founded in 1978 in Budapest, Hungary, and we are characterized as a non-profit, non-governmental organization with our headquarters in Mulhouse, France, which is actually also the European Physical Society's headquarters. Next slide. So how EPS works, it's governed by the Executive Committee, which has three main roles: the President, Secretary, and Treasurer, and 6 secondary roles, which are the manager listed below. As of now, we have 34 national committees, 14 local committees, and more than 50 individual members. And if we want to sum it up in a map in the next slide. Yeah, here you can see that with the blue color, we indicate our national committees, green color are local committees, and the red color indicates our individual members. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the fun part of iaps, our activities. I'm going to talk about some of them. Next slide, please. Okay, so the main iaps event is ICPS, or International Conference of Physics Students. So this is an annual conference where all our members get to meet. We can actually fund around 400 places, and this is a conference that includes student lectures, guest lectures, excursions, poster sessions, and etc. And in the past, in 2022, it was actually an online event, but hosted by the NC Mexico. Present just last month, it was hosted in Philippines, and for the future, we plan to host it in Georgia. Yes, let's see the nice photo, Dominic. This is the ICPS 2019 photo in Germany. Okay. Next event, it's Blanks, which is a theoretical physics competition. It's basically a weekend competition, and it includes a symposium and social events. To get to this international competition, you have to win your national preliminaries. Both master and bachelor students can attend. Past events in May 2022, it was hosted in Munich. In May 2023, it was in Milan, and this year it's taking place in Dublin, Ireland. So let's see the photo of Blanks 2022. Here we are with the masks because it was still COVID. Okay, next slide. what I would also like to talk about is our iaps, which is the Journal of iaps. It's an annual volume, and it includes iaps events of both the EC and our member committees. And also the iaps team organizes each month some article contest and creative competitions such as photo competitions. And the winners of those competitions are included in the iaps magazine. So next slide. Okay. Let's sum it all up in the iaps calendar. As I said in the previous session, it's a deceiving calendar. The iaps year actually starts at September, when we celebrate our birthday. This year was iaps' 36th birthday. Also in September, ICPS takes place. Then November, we have iaps to School Day, which is the main outreach event. This is where our members visit schools and perform experiments for high school students. Each year we have a different topic. This year's School Day is actually astronomy and astrophysics, so it's very fitting for today's workshop. Okay. And then the winter months, we are more chill, and it's time to plan for the rest of the year and actually recruit members, working group members and volunteers. Then March comes the iaps to CERN visit. We visit CERN, some universities around. We haven't been able to do this since COVID, but I think this year I'm positive that we can do it. Then May, we have two main events: the International Day of Light, where we celebrate the International Day of Light, doing activities around photonics and light-related subjects. Last year, we collaborated with Optica and SPIE for that cause. Also, on May takes place the Planck's event. And then we have the end of the year, in August, where the iaps magazine is printed, and we have our annual general meeting, AGM, where the next EC is voted. So next slide. Okay, so of course we cannot do all of these things alone. Our main supporter, as I said, is the European Physical Society. We are also strongly affiliated with IUPAP, the International Union of Pure and Applied Physics. We are a member of the International Science Council. And of course, we collaborate with organizations and unions such as the IAU. Next slide. Okay, so if you thought those activities were interesting, now more than ever is the time to get involved with iaps. As I said, the winter months are months of recruiting. We have many working groups such as the outreach, events, external relations, and all the others listed below. Okay, next slide. If you want to keep up with us, those are social media. Of course, you can pop a message to anyone who you may know or on Discord. And that's it from my apps. Thank you, guys. And I hope you have a great workshop today.
Thank you, Anna. And then I'm going to hand over to Joy to present the IAU OAD for us.
Hi, afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay, so I'm Joyful Judy, and I'm a fellow at the Office of Astronomy for Development. Thank you very much, Anna, for the introduction to iaps, and we're very grateful that you could organize this event for us today. So I'll be talking a bit about the IAU as well as the Office of Astronomy for Development. So the International Astronomical Union was founded in 1919 with the mission to promote and safeguard the science of astronomy in all its aspects. So they're basically the people who are responsible for renouncing Pluto as a planet. So these aspects includes research, communication, education, and development, and it is all achieved through international cooperation. So it is made up of professional astronomers from all over the world who have PhDs and beyond, and are active in the professional research, education, and outreach in astronomy. So the IAU consists of four core organizations. So the first one we have is the IAU Office of Astronomy for Education, which is at the top left or right. I'm not quite sure which side it is. And that office basically focuses on astronomy for education, and it was founded in 2019, and it is based in Japan. And then the next office that they have is the Office of Young Astronomers, and this was established in 2015, and it is based in Norway, and their focus is on training and advancement. And the third office they have is the Office of Astronomy for Outreach. So this office was established in 2012, and it is based in Japan, and they focus on communication, astronomy communication. And then lastly, we have the IAU Office of Astronomy for Development. So this office, this is where myself and Dominic work, and it was established in 2011, and it is based in Cape Town, South Africa. Okay, so the OAD basically is a joint project that is between the IAU and the South African National Research Foundation that is sponsored by the Department of Science and Innovation. The mission of this office is to further the use of astronomy, including its users, skills, and infrastructures as a tool for development. So as already mentioned, it was established in 2011, and we're based in Cape Town, South Africa. Next slide, please. Okay, so the OAD slogan is Astronomy for a Better World. And we'll basically look at how we can use astronomy to benefit humanity. So we have 11 regional offices from all over the world, and these offices also include language centers who all share the same vision as the OAD to better humanity, use astronomy to better humanity, except that their activities are more geographic or cultural or language specific. So as shown in the previous slide, the office has two main functions. So the one is call for proposals, and the other is the OAD flagships. So I'll be talking about those. So the first one is the call for proposals, which happens annually, and is primarily implemented through funding and coordinating projects that use astronomy as a tool to address issues that are related to sustainable development goals. And since 2013, we have funded over 200 projects all over the world. And then if you can go to the next slide. So through the call for proposals, there were 3 flagship themes that were identified that then turned into flagship projects for the OAD. And these themes are strongly related to sustainable development goals. So the first flagship theme is the socioeconomic development through astronomy, and this strongly emphasizes on astrotourism. And the second flagship was a science diplomacy through astronomy, where we celebrate our common humanity. And this focuses on the Astronomy for Mental Health project. And then we also have the third flagship theme, which is astronomy, knowledge, and skills for development. So there's a project called Hack for Dev, and that focuses on hosting hackathons for high school students as well as university students. So that is all from my side in terms of the IAU as well as the Office of Astronomy for Development, and I will give it back to Dominic.
Thanks, Joy. Okay, so those are all the introductions. Now, what we'll look at today is, like we mentioned in the program, it's what is the potential of astronomy for mental health, and how can we change people's perspective through astronomy? Now, to take a moment just to get started, I'm going to put up a short poll for everyone just to answer some questions, just so we can get an idea of what people think about astronomy and mental health currently. So I'll give a few minutes just to see what responses we get for this, and then we'll move on. Okay, I'll give it another 30 seconds just for some last responses, and then I'll give feedback on the responses and we'll move on with the program. Okay, so let me see if I can share results. So through the results, we have a perfect 50-50 split for have you ever considered the impact of astronomy on mental health? For the second question on do you think stargazing and other activities can be therapeutic? 43% strongly agree, 43% agree, 14 neutral. Do you think cosmic perspective can help? 38% strongly agree, 46 agree, 15 neutral. Do you think learning about astronomy can reduce stress? 23% strongly agree, 54 agree, 15 neutral, and 8 disagree. Do you think there's a link between astronomy and mindful practices? 23% strongly agree, 23 agree, 54 neutral. And for the last question, if you know someone that's used astronomy as a coping mechanism, 23 yes, 69 no, and 8 unsure. Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to cover today briefly, and then we'll also have lots of discussions and time for more practical application, is at the OAD, what is our flagship and what we're trying to do, some of the resources that are available, and trying to just support the idea of astronomy as a tool for mental health. So what is our vision for astronomy for mental health? As the OAD, we saw through the call for proposals and various global developments that there really is this need for novel approaches to mental health. And being the Office of Astronomy for Development, we thought surely the tools and resources that astronomy has and the awe and beauty of the night sky, there has to be something and some way that it can impact on mental health and well-being. And that is what we're exploring with this flagship project. Now, mainly the way that we approach this is we collaborate with various professionals, social sciences, astronomers, and work together to create resources, which we then test out, see if the resource that we created has a benefit. And if it is successful, we roll it out like Joy mentioned. We've got 11 regional offices, and we've got the sister organizations through the IAU who all can assist in the rollout of the projects. Now, what is mental health? So we go for the broad definition as the World Health Organization captures it, and that is the state of well-being in which an individual realizes their abilities, they can cope with the stresses of life, work productively and fruitfully, and contribute to his or her community. So that's a very broad definition of mental health. And being such a holistic definition, it also really broadens the scope of what we're working with, because we want to improve people's health and mental health and well-being through astronomy. And if we take the holistic approach, it gives us a lot more scope to work with. Now, the reason we care about mental health is because it doesn't just affect the individual. It affects you, it affects your relationships, and it affects every aspect of your life, emotionally and physically. And in doing so, you also affect the well-being of those around you. Now, mental health is a global issue. So close to 1 billion people are suffering from mental health conditions, and that translates to about 1 in 8 people. The reason that the woman character is highlighted in this image is because it also affects women a lot more than men. And about 50% of all people worldwide will experience a mental health disorder within their lifetime. Now, of everyone that is experiencing mental health disorders, 80% will not be able to access quality healthcare or affordable healthcare. And this is quite significant for the reason that it's such a large number of the population, but also because when we look at these statistics, these are people that have been diagnosed as having severe mental issues, so severe depression, anxiety. It's people that have usually gotten to the point where they weren't able to function. And these statistics do not include just generally the people that are suffering strain and stress, but they are just coping on their own. So in reality, the need for mental health and the need for just different approaches and to have open conversations about mental health and well-being is actually much larger than we realize. Now, moving on, 50% of mental illnesses begin by age 14. That is generally considered as quite an accurate assessment. But what we have seen is that mental health among adolescents, so that's from 10 years upwards, there's been an increase in the number of adolescents with mentally diagnosed disorders. And it's quite significant because we've got from the 10 to 14-year-olds from 11 to 13%, depending on if it's boys or girls, and the same 13.9 to 14.1 for girls and boys in the 15 to 19 group. The reason this is significant is it highlights again the need for alternative approaches to improving mental health and well-being, and also creating just an open, almost culture where people are able to talk about their struggles and get the help that they need. And that is because this figure comes from the UNICEF report, and it accompanies the morbidity and mortality rates, where in the same age groups, the suicide is now seen as one of the leading causes of death in these age groups. So you have road accidents, tuberculosis, and then suicide. And once again, these are the statistics that are diagnosed individuals, and therefore it's a bit tricky to evaluate on face value because the need might be a lot greater than we see here. So what can we do? So we've been looking at how can nature, astronomy in particular, be used to uplift mental health. So we're not trying to replace the work of counselors and medical practitioners. What we want to do is just provide people with an additional tool that they can use to cope and maybe relieve some of the stressors that they're experiencing. And the research that we've based a lot of this on is, firstly, in Berkeley, they did a lot of research on engagement with nature. So people being involved with nature activities, being involved in nature. So in this specific study, they had garden groups and nature hikes, things like that. They found that just being in nature already assists with life satisfaction, giving a sense of purpose, and lowering stress and anxiety. Stanford did a study where they saw that experiencing awe by looking at the night sky, looking at beautiful things in nature, allowed people to just feel connected to something bigger, reduced the feelings of loneliness. And it's an important aspect when we talk about loneliness, because often when people are struggling, when they're facing difficulties, struggling with mental issues, it's easy to become isolated and really cut yourself off from the support that might be able to help you. And that's something we'll come back with, also how we think astronomy can play a role. And then globally, there's been a lot of, not empirical research, but a lot of personal experiences and accounts of how interacting with the night sky, stargazing, astronomy, has allowed people to experience peace, tranquility, and stress relief. Now, just to emphasize again, so the connections that we based a lot of the work on is the impact of awe and wonder, giving that feeling of humility and connectedness and appreciation for the world. How experiencing an understanding of the scale of the universe, of time, can help to just frame your own personal struggles in a different light. And then how nature itself can also help by reducing that stress and anxiety. So I am going to give you guys a little break now while you watch a video. And this video is a short video that's we put together just as an introduction of the idea of just looking at the sunset and the night sky in a different way to try and frame your problems a bit differently. So let's start that. Just mute myself.
Life can be full of challenges. They can feel like a storm brewing inside of us, a hurricane that threatens to consume us, and our natural response is to fix the problem. We go inward facing, shrinking within ourselves, cutting ourselves off from others' support. But just as every storm eventually passes, and the sun sets each day, we can rest assured that our problems and challenges will change. Take a moment, become still, take a few deep, conscious breaths. Bring your awareness to the present moment. Imagine a sunset. We can find peace and closure when we consider the setting sun. When we look at a sunset, we can let ourselves appreciate it as it is. We can appreciate the moment and the colors without thinking about how we would change the colors. Each sunset is unique and reminds us that there is beauty around us. The sunset can help to give us perspective, to notice and appreciate the small things, the things that bring meaning to our lives. Think about what our problems and challenges would look like if we looked at them as we would a sunset, simply seeing them and appreciating that they will change and pass. After the sunsets, take a moment, breathe in, and experience the beauty of the night sky. As the light fades and your eyes get used to the darkness, we can start seeing more and more of the night sky. So vast, so spacious. The stars above remind us of the vastness of the universe, of the infinite possibilities that exists beyond our own struggles, and that no matter how big our problems or challenges might feel, they are small compared to the vastness of space. The setting sun and the night sky remind us that things will work out and we will be okay. Whatever happens, we can rest assured that the sun will rise after the night. There will be a new dawn. So, as we look up at the beauty of the stars, we can let nature help us find peace during our struggles and remind us of the boundless possibilities that exist beyond them. Whenever we feel stifled and overwhelmed by life's challenges, take a moment to gain perspective and reframe our problems in a new light. Become still, take a breath, and let the beauty of the setting sun connect us with the inner knowing that we are supported by something greater than ourselves. Take a moment to gaze up at the vast night sky, create some space, and rest a while to access newfound strength to persevere as we expand ourselves and open up to infinite possibilities. this too will pass. Tomorrow, the rising sun will bring a new day, a fresh start.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So, as a brief introduction, that is now, we've done the introductions, we've introduced the concept of the flagship and the broad idea of astronomy for mental health. So before we move into some practical activities, I would like to just give everyone a chance to, if they have questions, ask questions or share comments, just before we get into the approach we've taken to make it more practical. So yeah, before I move on, is there, actually, let me stop sharing for now so we can see each other. Is there any questions? Yes, Anna.
Okay, so it's not really a question, it's just a comment that I liked hearing from the video. And I would also like to say that it's my second time watching it, but now I got it. So maybe you should share this video with all the participants to look at, to rewatch it. Okay, so I really liked when it said at the end that you are supported from something greater. Even if you don't believe in a god or anything like that, the whole planet is made and the cosmos to in a way to relax you. Like if you go outside, you can seek relaxation from nature and the sky. So you are truly supported from something greater than you in this way. And yeah, I did this thought and I thought I could share it with you guys.
I
Yeah.
like that. I can share the link as well. It's on our OAD YouTube. I'll put the link up in the chat. Let's quickly pull it up here. Okay. Where is chat? There's chat. Okay. Is there any other questions, comments? I'll give a few seconds, otherwise we'll move on to the more practical side of it. Okay, I don't see anything.
I guess I have one
Yes.
thing to share. Yeah, I like the video and thanks for inviting me and in this session. It's an honor to be here. And I always like astronomy, and now this perspective that it can be used to tackle mental health issues and it can be used to calm people down about their mental health. Yeah, it's strange when we look at in the sky and we are hustling in life. We are running towards something. We have our goals, our life ambitions. But if we just stand still and watch out in the sky and watch out the vastness of the space that we have, I think it will make us calm down, make us still, and give us time to really look within ourselves rather than we always go for external happiness. We should look in self, and we are composed of this vastness of the space. We are, if in one way we are 13.8 billion years old as universe. We have matter that is as old as universe. So how small is my problem, how small is my issues that I am having in, for example, in academics, in my studies? These are very small things, and that's how I think astronomy can play a part more. And we should know the philosophy of studying astronomy. And thanks for giving me a chance to speak, and thanks for having organized this session. I think we should organize, you should organize such session more. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. And what you said also reminded me of something that Anna mentioned in our previous session, is sometimes when we speak about these concepts of the entire scale of the cosmos and how in the entire span of time, we are such a tiny piece and we're only here for such a small fraction of it, that might make you feel insignificant and what is the point of everything? But that is where, as we move on now into the practical things, is whenever we're working with people, you can also use that, and we guide them to say, but in the entire span of it, like Anna said, you're perfectly here. The planet and everything's perfectly supporting you that you're able to be here today. And you don't know how much time you have available. So you should use it as a precious resource. And that's why it's important to take care of yourself. Okay. If we don't have anything else, let me go to the slides. And yeah, so moving on from this point, it's going to be about some of the practical approaches that we've done. So as there's questions that come up, you guys are welcome to, throughout, put up hands and put things in the chat, because yeah, now we're going to be going more into the practical activities of it. So one of the things when we're looking at the practical side is, how do we approach this thing of mental health, astronomy for mental health? And the approach that we've taken so far has largely been influenced by acceptance and commitment therapy. And there is a reason for it, but let me first give a bit of background about the approach. So it comes from relational framework theory, which looks at how people develop language and how we attach meaning and value to the language we use. Acceptance and commitment therapy itself then looks at how we value certain things and the behaviors we have, and why do we have those behaviors. So a short overview of it would be, for if we're looking at the acceptance commitment therapy, is you can also look at it as ACT. So you accept that a behavior, good or bad, has happened, and the behavior is there. So what that does is, even if you have a problem, you can accept that there's the problem. And it helps you to not see yourself as part of the problem, but the problem is something that you can look at, you can work at, you can appreciate the problem for what it is. And there's various ways and activities that help you to do that. Then when you look at the commitment, the entire approach looks at building up a practice where you start identifying what is actually important for you. And it doesn't stay the same. You have things that are important for you right now, and they might change. So it's an ongoing process that you do throughout your lifetime. You reevaluate what is truly valuable for you. And then the T of ACT is you take action. So it tries to help you become aware of what is important. You know the behaviors that are happening, so you can see, are these behaviors helping you get toward what's important, or are they stopping you from reaching what's important? And then you can take action to try and correct and go towards just reaching those values that you hold as important in your life. Now, so that is relational framework and ACT. And the reason we look at relational framework is, what it provides us is, it gives us the psychological credibility of an approach that is well established. And it fits in well with astronomy, because it's all about looking at your behavior and doing activities that allow you to reach those goals. And astronomy has a lot of those activities. We can do stargazing activities, night walks, learning about astronomy. All of those things are behaviors that can help you connect with other people. So you can get past the loneliness. You can start building social confidence. You can experience mastery as you start learning more about various stars and constellations. And through all of it, that is just the initial step that we took as, let's start activities based on this framework. Now, we sent through an email with a little workbook that also has some activities and examples that just can help you with self-reflection. And I would also encourage people that are interested. There's a lot of good YouTube videos and books and workbooks on ACT itself, which it's an easy way to start with self-reflection. And the nice thing about it is, it's not as intensive as something like cognitive behavioral therapy, where you have to do a lot of back and forth journaling and you really do actually need someone to guide you. With ACT, it's good if you can get someone to guide you, but a lot of the things you'll already be able to get some insights, even if you do the activities yourself. Then the last reason we chose ACT is also a lot of the activities are just easier if you're doing something with an individual or a group. A lot of the other psychological theories that we are still exploring how to link with astronomy is a bit more tricky because some of them are really focused on an individual. Now, for how we've practically used it so far is a lot of the work we've done is narratives. So we would have short stories about how to think differently about something. So similar to the video, we would also have examples of saying, if you look at the night sky and you see all of these bright stars, you can think of it as the stars are your experiences. The bright stars are those values. As you identify which are important values, those are the bright stars, the things that you care about. There's a lot of stars you can't see. So those are all the experiences and things that got you to where you are today, but they're just not really in your mind. They're not things that you worry about or are important for you. But then what does happen with every person is you'll have times when clouds and storms come in. And when that happens, you can't see any of those stars. You lose track of what is valuable to you. And it is in those times when you really actually need to firstly be reminded of what is valuable for you and to just try and get through the storm. And the best way to do that is if you have someone that can help you. But even if you don't have someone that can help you, that's where it is useful if you are aware of sorry, so the slide is not stuck. It's just going to stay on this one for a little bit. And so it's good to reach out for help. And the way that you know that you actually need to start talking to someone, a professional or just a friend that can hold you accountable or someone just to help monitor your mental state, is when you start losing interest in things that you enjoyed, losing interest in the work that you're doing, the studies that you're busy with, and you start just trying to do things to escape. You start just spending lots of time on your phone, on your computer, gaming, drinking, all of these type of behaviors that they're good behaviors because they help you to escape the feeling that you don't want to feel, but they don't get you anywhere. So that is broadly why that's a good approach. And with these narratives, then the clouds will pass at some point. You'll be able to see your values again and work towards them. So those type of narratives just help to set the groundwork to encourage people and hopefully encourage you guys here today to actually take the time. Because as much as we can encourage, mental health is a personal thing. It's for each individual to work through their own self-discovery. So we put together some short activities to try and encourage some self-exploration. And I'm going to hand over to Joy to talk about joyful journaling, which is one of the activities that is an easy way to start off.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, if you could please stop sharing. Okay, so like Dominic mentioned earlier, we already shared the guideline or the workbook that covers basically the acceptance and commitment therapy. And everything is basically just spoken about right now is summarized in the guidelines, so you will be able to refer to what he has said and gone through. So basically, if we move on to the self-care activities, we've sort of kind of themed them around planets. So we have planetary self-care activities, and it basically gives the rationale behind the activities. And then here, the key thing for the activities that you look at would be the objective, the description, the act integration, and the implementation. And it's important to remember the O, the D, the A, and the I, because in the activities, it just says O, D, A, and I. So it was easier to just start here and then go down. So like you mentioned, we have different activities for different planets. Like with Mercury, you focus on mindfulness meditation. and Venus looks at visualization of self-worth. But then because I am going through one of the activities, I decided to go with the Jupiter Joyful Journaling, mostly because it has my name in it. So with this activity, obviously the journalist suggests that you would have to do a little bit of journaling, but the objective of it would be to basically foster an expensive reflection and also helps within for goal setting. And then this is also inspired by the majesty of Jupiter, which is the largest planet in our solar system. So Jupiter, and then the description for it would be like Jupiter's vastness serves as a reminder of the limitless potential within each individual. So as you go through this journaling journey, you then basically look at the limitless potential that you have within you. And then through the journaling, you basically encourage to explore your aspirations and dreams, and then setting goals that align within your core values. And then when we implement the act, it would be you having to basically, it would be propelling commitment in terms of acting by promoting introspection. So this is basically you aligning the goals with your personal values, and then you can chart a course that resonates with your true self, just the same way as Jupiter's strong gravitational pull that influences its surroundings. And then with the implementation, so you would provide a thought-provoking journal that prompts you to guide you to delve deep into your aspirations. And then it encourages you to outline your goals that are mostly driven by your values, and then sort of kind of like make or write down actionable steps that you would have to take in order for you to achieve them. And then the first step, obviously, in acting is to write out what you want to achieve. And from there, you then reinforce the commitment part of it, which then leads back to the acceptance and commitment therapy part of the whole activity. So yeah, and then we also have other things like using Saturn to structure self-care, because it's very important for us to remember that our mental well-being involves taking care of ourselves, whether it is taking daily walks or removing yourself from your screens every 10 minutes or 20 minutes, depending on how much time you need to just remove yourself from the digital world. But then, yeah, so every planet is basically tied to some sort of activity that would then help with your mental well-being. So yeah, we'll stop there. And if you have had time to go through some of the other things, we can discuss them. Otherwise, we can just open it up to any questions and discussion.
Thank you, Joy. Yeah, so now it's open.
Are those activities of brain's difficulty, or they are just different? Would you recommend
so they're just different activities, mainly just to try and find a link with each of the planets, terrain, or something about the planet. But if we had to rank them in difficulty, I think, I can't remember which one it is, but all the ones that would want you to take action would be the more difficult ones. The ones that are reflection and planning would be the easier ones.
I would. Can you mute yourself, Tom?
I'm muted, yeah.
Well, okay, I would say that depending on what exactly it is you're looking for at the time, you would then just choose the activity that is closest to what you're trying to achieve, and then from there, that would sort of kind of guide you in the right direction. Because we wouldn't necessarily say you have to start at the top or the first activity, so you can play around with them, just depending on what you feel you need. Do you need some self-care tips or activities that would help you, remind you that you need to take care of yourself better? Or do you need to like set goals for yourself? So depending on which thing you need at the time, it would be easier for you to like just browse through all of them and think, okay, I think I need to set goals. I'll just go through this activity. Or I need to take care of myself better. I'll just go through the self-care activity. So yeah, it's open like that.
I think one thing that I can add as well is, so throughout all of this, we're saying that we want people to really try and engage and become more mindful. Now, mindfulness often gets used in a lot of different contexts. And when we're talking about being mindful, all we're referring to is just being aware what is presently happening around you and being able to give attention to what is happening around you in the current moment. And that is especially useful for when you're trying to become aware of, maybe you're struggling and you're like, oh, I'm not feeling well, why am I struggling? And then you might try to become mindful. So you try to just take a moment to think, what are the thoughts and experiences that are happening that are making you feel that way? Maybe you're feeling anxious because you're self-conscious about your body image, or whatever it is. The mindfulness is the process of being able to just take a moment to think about what is happening right now, and become aware of something you choose. So if you want to choose about what thoughts are causing you to be uncomfortable, or you might be in a situation where it's like, yo, you're not feeling, something doesn't feel right, the same thing, just becoming mindful of, actually taking a look around, it's like, you just don't feel safe in the situation. So the mindfulness here is really just about being able to take that pause and be aware of what is going on with you or your environment at any point of time. Do we have any other questions or comments? We have a few more minutes that we're going to do, and then at the end, I can tell you guys already, so what we're just going to end off with is we're going to have a few like closing thoughts, and I'm just going to share with you guys the IAU General Assembly that's happening, a slide on that.
Also, I'm interested to know if anyone wants to try any of those activities, because if you do and you're willing to write a review or an article about your experience, we could include that to our iaps journal at the end of the year. This would be really useful both for us and for the OAD group. So does something pique your interest? Is someone who is excited to try any of those activities? Don't be shy, guys. Or put it in the chat and we will read it.
Yeah, let me also put in the chat our so the email for if you guys need to get hold of me or our group, because yeah, we're very willing to collaborate, get in touch with people, anyone that has ideas, because we really want to see how can we develop this idea around using astronomy to better people's lives, and especially for my side, mental health, but even in other aspects. That is really our main focus. I didn't put the Dave there. Can I edit my message?
Excuse me. I
So
cannot
for my
find
first
how
email,
to,
oh, sorry. I just want to say, so for my first email, it's also
Sorry.
Astro for Dev. I just didn't put the Dev in. Okay, please continue.
Sorry, I cannot figure out how to raise my hand over Zoom.
No worries.
Sorry
Yeah,
for
coming.
interrupting.
No, that's
Okay,
perfect.
so thank you very much for your presentation, and this guide seems very interesting. As a youth worker who works with teenagers, I found it very, I'm sure I will use it, but I just wanted to comment. I feel like it's more addressed to an organizer or not necessarily a youth worker, because it's not just for youth, I understand, but I feel it would be very useful to have more specific examples of the implementation part. Of course, it's I understand it's like a lot of work to create this, but I suppose if someone implements it and somehow can share what specific things they did, I would be very interested to also know about
Perfect.
that.
That's useful. I'll keep that in mind as well, so that even at the OAD, when we share, then what I'll try and do is, if we do implementations and share and we put it on our site, then I'll try and make it clear that this is the type of target group that it was at, this is how it was implemented, and these are the outcomes. So it's also more easily accessible.
Yes, thank you. Because I feel like people who have not had any experience with meditation or mindfulness might find it a harder to implement.
Yeah, no, definitely. One thing that we are working at the moment is we want to try and make some of these almost more scientific mindfulness podcasts. So having different astronomers and psychologists do short little segments that we will also be putting on the Astronomy for Development website, which would also then serve as just the easier way for people to get engaged with the topic. So I think that would be one thing that might help. So the
That
first
sounds
one
fantastic.
should be available at the end of the year, and then a couple more will be coming throughout next year.
Great, that sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, if you are struggling to raise a hand, you guys are also just welcome to go off mute and ask questions. Okay, then while that's, if anyone's you're still welcome to ask. I just want to open this slide. So the slide I'm showing now, the IAU is going to have its General Assembly next year in Cape Town, and registrations are open. I would encourage everyone, if you're interested, try and apply. They do have travel grants available, as far as I understand. So, I mean, it's always worth trying to see if you can get a grant to come visit, maybe present a poster or something and see if you can get in, because then you can have a nice 2-week holiday in Cape Town. So that's what I would also advertise. And then as we're wrapping up, the takeaway I would say is that mental health is a very important thing. And because it's such an individual thing, I think it's important that we just start talking about it more openly, and also start taking some steps to do some self-discovery, because that will really equip us to be able to more confidently talk about it. Because I think that's one of the big things that keep people from actually discussing truly how they're feeling and what's going on in their lives is they're just not actually sure how or exactly why they're feeling the way they do. So throughout our flagship, we're going to continuously be trying out different ideas. And one of the big areas that we're also going to be working towards is just trying to see how we can make a few more standardized implementations so that we can try and get some empirical data and see, does astronomy, specifically the night sky, really make a big difference? Or is the night sky just a nice context for doing sessions? One thing that I didn't mention before, the nice thing also about stargazing sessions is if you're in this area where you can safely do stargazing, then stargazing is also useful setting to have these type of talks and just ask people a few more personal type questions, just because with the darkness and the lack of other distractions, it's a bit more of a conducive environment. That being said, you do have to make sure that if you are going to be asking people personal questions during stargazing activities, we always recommend have some support system available, and that will be individual for wherever you're based. There's always some free counseling service or something available. So just get in touch with them, and they're usually, from what I've seen from the ones that we've worked with, they're always willing to assist. And it just makes it easier because then you can confidently do the mental health activities. And if anyone needs additional help, you always know that you can just refer them for the continuity of care with someone else if they do require that. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. And yeah, I hope everyone has an amazing rest of the Saturday. Thanks for coming.
Thank you guys for coming. Okay. I hope we have some articles soon. And yeah, if anything comes up, I will let you know. And I hope you do the same. And thank you very much, Dominic, for this workshop. And it was a great pleasure getting to know you and your team. And I hope we do more collaborations together.
Yeah, me too. Thanks so much for assisting with all the organizing and so Joyce also saying we've got, as the OAD, we also, because of our flagships, there's a lot of different things going on. So we're always open for various collaborations. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, I'm gonna go now. So have a nice rest of the day, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.
And for everyone that's still here, we're going to close the group. Thank you so much for your time and enjoy.